Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Alonzo, Ben, Christy. It is becoming a very crowded year in the Oscar race for Best Documentary, and one of the contenders being bandied about is He Named Me Malala, which I have not seen, but they have.
What's it about?
Yeah, it's the story of Malala, who was. Thank you. I wasn't even going to give it. I wasn't even going to give it a shot.
Malala Yousafzai,
who was an outspoken advocate for children's education, specifically for girls' education in Pakistan, but she was and knowing the risks, she was famously shot in the head by the Taliban and survived. It was airlifted to a hospital in England and survived. And this is the story really about her and her father, who named her Malala, and that was significant because that is the name in ancient folklore of a woman who stood up and encouraged retreating soldiers to go forward and fight the British and fight for their country. So, and this is sort of her story now, as she now continues in the West mostly, but also traveling to the Middle East to speak and support making sure that kids who've lost their education in war-torn countries have an opportunity to get it back, but also just the need to speak out against oppressive regimes that don't want women to be educated.
There is a moment when you have to choose whether to be silent or to stand up.
Who would you have been if you were just an ordinary girl from the Swat Valley?
I'm still an ordinary girl, but if I had an ordinary father and an ordinary mother, then I would have 2 children now. I am those 66 million girls who are deprived of education. I'm not a lone voice. I am many.
So I found this very frustrating. You know, she's enormously charismatic. You know, she was only 15 years old when she was shot. Mm-hmm. When the film was made, she was 18. But has just the poise and the wisdom and the confidence of a much older woman.
And when you see videotape of her, which Davis Guggenheim includes of it, not a lot of it, but some of it before she was shot, when she was given press conference speak, it is stunning that a girl 14, 15 years old was able to express herself in this way.
No, totally.
A kid of 14, 15.
Yeah, and yet at the same time, you see her at home with her brothers.
Those are great
and they're
scenes.
all giving each other shit. Those are some of the best scenes in the whole movie because they actually flesh her out, and she's still a teenager, and she gets giggly over, she looks at photos of Roger Federer on Google Image and gets all giggly because he's cute. And so there are still glimmers of humanity there behind this larger-than-life persona of being a worldwide inspiration. And I wish there were more of those, because Davis Guggenheim only once, very briefly toward the end, tries to get her to talk about how she really feels.
Yeah, he said he asked her something like, "You're uncomfortable talking about your own."
You don't want to talk about the suffering.
The suffering
is what he asked her.
Yeah.
And she very politely but very firmly, dissuades him from following that line of questioning. And it's just a massive disservice because she's funny and she's smart and she's bright and lovely, but who is she really? How does she really feel about the fame she has gained? How does she really feel about the pressure to be a massive hero to everybody?
I think it's a totally valid point that there needed to be a follow-up question to that, or discussions with her dad about that, or somebody else, a friend, somebody to ask, But we also see moments where she misses home because she can't go back to the, I'm tempted to call it a village, but it's a city in where she's from. And because there's an excellent chance she'd be killed by the Taliban if she came back. So, but she also talks about fitting in at school, and we see shots of her at school, and she's like, I don't know if they like me. She's no longer the great student that she is, although I get the feeling it's a very challenging school, and she's touring the world simultaneously while trying to keep up with her homework. But I think we get some of that. Yeah. So I think we get, it would be good to hear another question about her suffering, but the suggestion that I think that we don't get any of who she is outside of the home, I think that school stuff was effective. And you get the feeling, because I got the sense of, here's this girl going around the world and meeting all these people and saying these incredibly important things, but she's a little bit lonely. She misses her friends back home, and she hasn't connected with these British girls.
Right, and the joke is that she is not doing that well in school anymore herself, because she's busy meeting Bono and President Obama and the Queen of England.
And challenging President Obama and saying, hey, by the way, your drone strikes are causing more terrorism. And then they ask her, does she say that? And she's like, yeah, of course I said that.
No, she's awesome. And I feel like there's a lot of filler here where I would have liked more substance. They have all these very wispy kind of pastel animated interludes which fill in the story of the young woman.
It's a pretty effective way of doing that, didn't
I
you?
don't know. The first time they did it, I liked it because I thought this is an interesting kind of fairy tale, dreamlike contrast to the horrors that this young woman actually has suffered. And then eventually it feels kind of repetitive and feels like filler to make the movie 80 minutes long or whatever, 82 minutes long. You get the story of the woman she's named for, Malala, who she's named for through that device, and that was effective. But I don't know, I just wanted more. I felt like the ending was kind of rushed, and it just felt really unsatisfying to me in general.
Well, I liked it. I thought that the most important thing, last thing I'll say about it is that in an era now where Muslims are so easily demonized, including on the left by some, you know, that any movie that lets us see, that lets smart people be reminded of, oh, yeah, look at this, they play games and drink tea with their families too, and they love each other and they go to school, and let's just take, I got it, there's serious problems with extremism, but these are people, and I mean, that sounds hokey, but it is a message that I'm certain many people need to have delivered.
Yeah, and teens should see it. Girls especially should see it.
Totally.
It's very inspiring, but I wanted more. So what is your number, please?
I gave it a 7.7.
Yeah, I'm saying 5, so our average is 6.4. It is at 69% in Tomato Land. So worthwhile if you got a young person in your house.